Everybody, this is Patrick from Sasquatch in the Wild, and I'm going to attempt to finish this video and start the next video, which is going back to juniors and finishing out the last time that Mike and I went out to that area, and we had some interesting encounters. A lot of it was cut on video. So this is where we left off. Mike and Trenton wandered off in front of me, and it kind of left me way behind them. So, which was all right, because I was finding evidence as they were walking away and talking. I was filming and recording stuff. Oops, I hate it when the computer does that. This is part of the area. This is part of the natural area anymore. You can't remove this stuff. All this is mining equipment that was in this close by. I actually did not know they were mining in this area, but there is some active mining going on for gold in this area. You do feel alone at times in the woods, and this is kind of like what you see when you're roaming around. More signs of moose getting shot. A tree break that the top of the tree was busted, but the rest of the tree was still intact. In fact, the rest of the tree was still live and well. Just that one part here that was busted. That tree may or may not survive. If it does, one of these other leaders up here are going to take off and sprout up, whereas this tree was busted off. And there was no reason for that tree to be broken where it was at, unless something climbed up that tree or reached up and grabbed it and broke it. I think this thing up here in the woods, usually when I would look at dark objects, I would be really suspicious on the idea that this is probably maybe a bear that's up in the tree. Could be a Sasquatch up in the tree. One of Mike's stories of a group of investigators that used to be part of SIR stated that, oh, that's weird, stated that, oh no, dumb computer. Go back to this. I don't know why I just did that. That was weird. I'm looking at something here. One of the first things that they had seen was what they described as a monkey in a tree. And those investigators have since moved away. From a distance, this thing looks like a Sasquatch. But up close, it looks like part of the tree that's just been darkened. But from a distance, this looks like a person sitting up in the tree. And this is one of the things you got to worry about when you're video or photographing things, is what is it, until you really look at it. And then you have to dismiss it. Because even though it looks like it's something, it really isn't. But from here it does. It looks like a person's head, body, legs, arms. That's pretty crazy. But this thing down here, this is an odd black object in a tree. Is pretty suspect. Let's see what I was photographing in here. I see a V. There may have been something going on in these trees. Oops, dang it. Which I don't see anything. That's weird. That little orange thing is weird. I don't remember why there'd be anything orange, because this is about June or July that we were hiking around. We had found these 3 stones kind of out of place. This stone was moved for whatever reason. It was moved. This is on a road, and typically when you're walking down these roads, it's kind of scary because people fly down these roads, even though it's gravel and dirt. It does get scary, but it was strange to find 3 rocks and 1 rock was offset. It doesn't look like a car drove through it, although this side does, but if a car would have driven over this, these rocks would have been pushed into the ground. Because this wasn't hard-packed soil, but the stuff over here was. Let them down there. Nope. I think I cut through here. Instead of walking all the way around to our campsite, I just cut through. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Found this crazy tree. This tree looks like it was pushed over. There's no reason. I think the root structure was still pretty good on it. But the tree looked like it was pushed over intentionally. Dramatic shot. Another one of those trees that people like to think Sasquatch creates, but I am not a firm believer behind it. Although one of my other videos does kind of show that idea. I'm just not a firm belief on that whole process. Is there hair on that? No, there's moss. There's moss on that too. A lot of moss. There's a lot of moss growing on that tree. That's kind of weird. And this is a road. The main road is over here, but this is a road that takes us back to our campsite. On the way down through, I had noticed on a previous hike that there was a bunch of tree breaks in here. And this is a broken tree break, or a tree break here, where the tree is still split, but it's holding on by this little thin piece of bark that's holding it in place. This is another tree break that's here that's coming down. Now there are some things in here, like this stick in here was chewed on, so that's probably, it could be an elk or a moose in the area. This tree was broken. And moose can break trees too. They usually get their antlers caught in and stuff, or they turn their head funny and then it'll snap a branch. So you gotta kind of look at the surrounding areas and see what the breaks really do look like. That's my car right there. Different structures found coming back up through a different direction. Started finding some of the same old stuff and some interesting new stuff as well. This might be an Indian marker, but again, trees can grow like this too. It's the ones that have a drastic bend in them that are more of an Indian marker. This is a tree break, goes down, another tree break goes up and over, and all this debris was pushed and landed in between this tree pushing down on this tree. Would this be windblown? Man, that would be hard telling. Mike thought that this was fairly interesting also, which kind of led me to believe that this was probably some form of structuring that was going on. Sometimes when you can't really see in the dark what's going on, I'll change a setting on the camera just to see if there's something else here. And that's what I did. That's why it goes from colors and light to black and white. Another structure makes up a triangle. You have one tree, you have another tree. This should have been an asterisk, and then you have a tree coming through the middle. But then there was another stump that was brought in and placed near the base of this, and it's touching between this tree and that tree. And why this stick here goes up and in between this triangle that's embedded here and pops out the other side is beyond me. And it was just strange seeing all this stuff. It's a neat structure though. Another weird structure where the tree was bent over, comes right into the middle of an asterisk. It's pretty cool. There's a few pictures of this. There's even a tree break on this tree bend that's been twisted. Just a little bit, just enough for it to bend back on itself. This is the crazy intricate knots that happen. There's just too many things happening. And this branch, even let's say it did fall over naturally, it wouldn't have shot through a gap in this branch right here and fed through to the other side. That doesn't add up. It doesn't add up at all. Another view of that tree or that structure. This is the bottom half of a tree, and it was top half was busted and propped up in a way that kind of looks like a little doorway. Mike's tent, our campfire, my tent, and we were just sitting right here about where they were moving amongst the trees here and around my tent, and then eventually around Mike's tent and our cars. That tree structure again. Now, there was a morning that I had woken up and I heard a noise behind my campsite and the camera was running, and I photographed this thing. It looks like an individual sitting back here. It looks like their head, their shoulders, their legs. You can make out the trees. Make out a tree right here too. But this thing wasn't there when I went out. When I finally got out and I looked outside and went outside, this thing was gone. Yet on the photograph, it sits there. This is peeking out just before going outside. These are the trees that we were seeing the eye shine through. Structure, you got a tree bend that is actually captured by this tree that's right here. Goes up and it's holding down this tree here. Different view. Ground art. This tree was broken right here, and it was forced over and rolled down on itself. So you can see it bent all the way over, and it was fully alive. There's no reason for this tree to be doing that. And this tree that's here, there should be no reason why it's here, but it was pushed over. And this tree was also fully alive when it fell, which makes no sense to me why this tree had needles on it and it was shoved over. And this is the old root structure. There is a lot of eye shine back in here, and you'll see a lot of breaks and stuff happening inside here. I showed this photograph once before, but I went back down there and took some more photos. Tree bends or breaks. Just about every other tree in here was busted. And then I found some footprints in there as well. I think you can see it. Yeah, there's a break right here. The cursor is, I'll turn the camera just a little bit. Some trees were just completely snapped off. There is a cut log that's down here at the base of the photograph. This is a tree break here. I don't know if I can see that. Am I too high? Oh, yep, sure enough. Tree break right here. Lots of breaks right in here. That's that other tree break that was busted I just showed the picture of. And our campsite is right up in here. So it looks like up close. As it pulled down. Oh, there's hair on it. A little piece of hair right there. That's crazy. Looks like there might be more hair right in here. Found a footprint. This is the top of the foot. And it breaks down. The bottom of the foot's down here. This is the width of the foot. This was a stump, something, it was coming in and pulling out the center part of that stump. Thought that was weird. Just pulled out a little bit further. I started pulling it out because I wanted to see if there was something stuffed in the middle of it. And there was nothing inside there. So I put the stick back in and carefully placed it back inside. Leaner. Ground art. More ground art with a structure. This is your structure here. Goes up and over and under this tree. And then the ground art is technically the same thing, showing it a different view of it. There's another stick that's coming in. It's meeting right at this tree. Looks like there's 3 little trees meeting this tree that's still alive. Craziness. Another possible footprint. An X. which I talked about in the previous video. So these are the handprints. This is the palm, a thumb, and the first finger. This is part of its wrist that's coming up. Like it slid down my car a little bit. Another weird rubbing on my car. It looks like there's finger prints or finger drags on that. Other fingerprints on my car. This one that's right here, the big one, kind of does look like there's fingerprints in it, like there's a print involved in it. And typically they don't have fingerprints that we're aware of, or the lines or the grooves on our fingers that can determine who's who. This kind of looks like there might be something like that going on, with little finger marks inside there as well. Finger drag pulls on my car. Other marks on the side of the car. Other fingerprints and stuff here. Other markings that I'm not sure what came from this or what caused this. Other weird marks. I thought these were teeth marks at first, like gums, and showing off, where the teeth marks are, but I don't know how they would have done that. That's my hand in comparison to that one. This is a spot that we had found. I'm going to pull the camera up. Where Trenton is sitting, we were up on a little hill, and we all decided this is a great place to go camping because we could see all the way around this spot. And Sasquatch came from Trenton's left side, back and in between the rock there where my cursor is sitting. I'll move it over here. So they came from this area, and they walked in and then came up the hill and they came through. Because I saw them walking away, and they went that direction and back into the woods. It is a bit of a hike to get to this spot, but it is a pretty darn cool location. I flew my drone over this in the previous months. This is that overly large campsite that we kind of looked at. Lots of people could camp here. It would make for a really fun Bigfooting outing. This thing up here, this little spot here, whatever this is, I was noticing that it was moving. And let's see if I can aim this thing down a little bit. There's an object right here. So I started paying attention to that thing, and it looks like there's something there when I tried to focus it in a little bit. And that will conclude it. So my name is Patrick, and this is Sasquatch in the Wild. The next video will have video footage of Junior's location when Mike and I went back. It was just he and I at that event. And you're going to be walking with us as I'm hiking around. We're in my cameras, and we're both experiencing a lot of odd things that are happening at us. And something crazy happens near the end of that trip. Again, my name is Patrick. I hope you enjoyed the journey, and I will talk to you soon.